You look beautiful today. Well, a few of you said thank you. Let's try that again. You look beautiful today. See, obviously you should also have said you too, you know? That's how you get that affirmation coming at you. So, having just come from Maui and seeing my dad in assisted living, there's an energy that happens in assisted living centers. It's an energy of people, for the most part, who have bought into the idea that life is over. They bought into the idea of the conditions that you see in their lives. You walk into the assisted living center. Now, this is in Maui. And so everyone has on shorts and a short sleeve t-shirt pretty much. That's pretty much what everyone is wearing. And you'll notice by their arms and their legs that everyone there is on some form of blood thinner. Whether it's warfarin, Coumadin, whatever it is, every single one of them. Because it's what the doctors recommend. And then what you notice going back and forth, I've been going back and forth at least every 6 months over the last few years because my father's there and my father needs conditioning. This time it's only been 3.5 months since I was there last. And the visible display of the deterioration of life was so evident in just about everyone I saw. It was evident not only in the people staying there, it was evident in the staff. Because what's happening is this energy that is surrounding them, this energy that has been created by them and by those before and by the idea of what is assisted living, permeates into the mind and it creates. So today we're going to go and we're going to continue the talk series, the 12 Laws of Karma, and we're going to look at law number 2. Law number 2 is the law of creation. And it's real simple. Life does not happen by itself. We need to make it happen. The key thing is here, if we don't make life happen, life happens to us. Did you hear that? Life is going to do it to you. You're not going to do life. And there's a huge difference when you embody this idea, because if you're not doing your life, if you're not creating your life, if you're not using the law of creation, then the law that exists or the atmosphere that exists around you, whether it be in your home, whether it be in your corporate life, whether it be in your family life, whatever is around you will take over, and you will have diminished and given up your power, and you are going to be living by the idea of the law of averages, I call it. So when you are not consciously living, whatever the average experience is, the group that you're hanging with becomes your dominant thought process or dominant mental atmosphere, which creates your life experience. So in that respect, when that happens, it's truly easy to see how we become victims, or we become aware that we have a victim consciousness. You see, you can be the exception, because the power to be the exception is you. The power is in you, as you, through you, in every way possible. But most people want to let facts get in the way. Bless you. Facts get in the way. Facts mean nothing, except if you buy into facts, they hold you into the circumstance in which you're currently in. Lee, the fact is, my father has congestive heart failure. Lee, the fact is, my father has high blood pressure. Lee, the fact is, your father has high cholesterol. Lee, the fact is, your brother died from prostate cancer. Lee, the fact is, your mother had breast cancer. Lee, the fact is, she had high triglycerides. The fact is, the fact is, the fact is. I don't buy into that. Bruce Lipton, in his book, The Biology of Belief, and he's a cellular biologist, has talked about that DNA is a tendency of the body. It is not unresolvable. He comes out and says, it is your belief about the body and your health that changes your DNA, and when you change your DNA, you have a different experience. So when I come and look at my physical health, and at this age, my parents and brother had all the symptoms. In fact, my brother never lived this long. I have perfect health. I have perfect blood pressure. I have perfect cholesterol, triglycerides, perfect weight. I have no blood pressure. Everything in my body is perfect. Because it's what I affirm through using my creative power. See, I'm not going to allow society. I remember sitting down, this magnificent doctor that my doctor has a concierge doctor. Do you all aware what a concierge doctor is? It's a doctor that you pay an extra amount and you have free access to them for your primary health care. So it's outside of the healthcare system. And I wanted my dad to have someone that I could talk to that doesn't just consider a number. So he came to visit Dad in the facility, and we were sitting down next to each other, and for a half hour, he did not want to go home and help his wife babysit the twin grandchildren because they were 2. They were 2. And this doctor's like my age. And he says, I don't have the patience for 2. So he sat there and we talked. And I started to talk to him about this. And he started throwing facts at me and facts at me and facts at me. And I said, let me share with you. Your facts are good, but your facts are averages. Every statistic you throw out there is average. I'm not average. He says, well, you need to have a colonoscopy. I says, I know that my butt is perfect. He says, he looked at me and said, you need to have your prostate checked. I said, I let my wife do that. And he was there and he says, how can you do this? And I explained to him about the book, The Biology of Belief. And he says, well, what proof do you have? And I walked him through in 2000 when I had a brain tumor, and I healed that brain tumor through the power within me by changing my eating and by prayer. And he says, is this scientific? I said, well, your science found the tumor, and your science proved that the tumor was gone. Here's what happened in between that was different. That, to me, is a scientific explanation about what just happened. And he says, well, you're 1 in a million. I said, thank you, but I'm 1 in 8 billion. Because you see, I'm using 8 billion. We're not quite there on the planet, but each one of us is an individual, and we have the ability to use that power. So let's talk about that a little bit more. There's a power in us, acting through us, acting for us, that allows us to accomplish all that we desire. This is the essence of what we call God. It is not out there, it is within here. And this that is within us responds to us just like the outside world is responding to something greater. It is not a man, it is not a woman. It is a level of consciousness that cannot be defined in any way, shape, or form, but it knows no limitation. You see, if God had a man image, immediately God is limited. Do you see that? When we buy into the image that there's a power outside of us, that means that we're outside of it, which means it's not infinite. We've already limited what it is. We've given it boundaries. And we say, oh, there's a hell, you're going to hell. Well, that means there's a place outside of God. There can't be. By definition, if God is infinite, there's nothing but God. So I don't even like to use the word God at times because people misinterpret it and think that I'm thinking about an anthropomorphic idea, and it's not that. God is not made in human image. We are made in its image. However, this physical body causes us to not see the infinite nature of what we are. I shared this before, and I'll share it again. The insight that hit me 2 weeks ago was that when my mother passed, I prayed that all of the prior souls in her life that have gone before her met her and greeted her and supported her as she moved on with her journey. But what really became clear to me, I was greeting her at the same time. Because when you're infinite, you're not only alive in human form, but you're everywhere in spiritual form at the same time. Did you hear that? That's really, really important that you get the idea of how deep you are. You are an infinite, individualized expression of it. And it gave you freedom to be you in only ways that you can be. You have a uniqueness. That's your gift. That's what you embrace about everyone. You don't try to get anyone to be like you. You embrace the fact that they're different and you see the good in that difference. Next is, the key to using this power is we must choose. The key is we must choose. We must not let our parents choose, our school systems choose, that type of thing. So I met Roger Waters like a week and a half ago. Everyone know who Roger Waters is? Founder of Pink Floyd, controversial, political, and all of that. I love Roger Waters. And when he does that song, Brick in the Wall, oh my God, he says, when he talks about in the lyrics, we don't need your education, we don't need your thought control. Teacher, teacher, leave those kids alone. What he was saying is, don't let whatever's out there make you, form you, so that you become this brick-like form that you can be put into the wall that society wants you to form and be a part of. That's not what it's about. You are meant to be unique. You are not meant to have round, perfect edges or boxed edges. You are meant to be all over the place any way you want. But you got to understand that society overall does not embrace that idea. Society thinks if you behave, it's better. Think about how many children have been labeled as ADD, HDAD today, that when I was alive, we were just rebels. I remember Sister Marie Constance in second grade looking at Stanley Furtak saying, sit down. And he wouldn't sit down, and she took the eraser and she whipped it across and hit Stanley in the head. And Stanley looks at her and says, nice shot, sister. Stanley was unique. He wasn't going to buy in, and all the kids criticized Stanley. Why did they criticize Stanley? Because sister made it hard on all of us. I don't know if anyone here would be raised with nuns. Oh my God. See these knuckles, how big they are? That's from the pointer. It's incredible how they try to do that. So, we must point the way. We are that which points the way. No one else should point our way. The reclaiming of our power is to claim it and know that we point the way. But here's the key. You've got to embrace the idea that there's something in you that desires to be expressed. And this teaching that I just got from I didn't get it just now, but I got it through Dr. DeMartini, who will be here this Friday. You should all be here for that. He taught that the basis of who you are is values. Until you know your top values, you're lost. You're going to be subordinating yourself to the values of others. And when you subordinate yourself, you're already a victim. It's that simple. It doesn't matter how old you are. The other beautiful thing is that in October, Gene and I are going to a Centers for Spiritual Living Ministers gathering. And I was just announced that I'm going to be one of the featured presenters at the gathering, and I'll be teaching them values. Because I believe that ministers need to know this just like everyone else does. Because I think until you get that basic foundation, how do you know what you want? I was brought up with the idea that, Lee, you want the American dream. You want to have this house, these cars, this country club, these children, all of this. You want that. And I had it. There I was, mid-40s. I had it all. And I said, what the hell is missing? And that's when I started my spiritual quest. And my spiritual quest was about finding Lee within Lee. Do you hear that? Lee, the person you're seeking is already in you. It's a process of revealing. It's a process of awakening to. It's not a process of growing. Do you hear that? Because growing means it's something you're not. You're already enough. You're already more than enough. It's about revealing. It's about the revelation of who you are to the world. And when you start to reveal something different to the world goes, no, go back to being you. And you got to say, no, I'm not going to go back to being me. And that's why the next thing is we must align everything we are with the choice we make, and we must act from that alignment. You see, this right here is the big nut. Because this is where people do not follow through on what we teach. Lee, I prayed every day. I'm meditating every day. I write my affirmations. I do my affirmations. I write in my gratitude journal, all of that. Next question is, what were your actions today? Were they in alignment? People say, well, that's taking a risk. Well, what is a risk? A risk is an action that you've not taken before that's in the direction of your dream. And if it's in the direction of your dream, it's no longer a risk, because no matter what happens when you're moving in the direction of your dream is that you're either going to get positive feedback or negative feedback. Positive feedback means you're going in the right direction, you're moving there, and that's good. Negative feedback means what? It means that you've now found out a way not to do it so you can begin to do it a different way. So there's no such thing as a negative. They're just ideas that help you go. So many people talk about the idea of, I really just like feeling sad. I want to be happy all the time. I want to be happy all the time. Guess what? If you want to be happy all the time, you're going to be addicted to some form of vice. Because it's impossible to be happy all the time. Because there's always going to become contrast. Because contrast is what spurs us to desire more, to become more, to see more, to know more. Contrast is an essential part of life, and the idea of meditation is to be able to go within and balance and see the perfect balance of life. And when you see the balance of life, you live in an equanimous state, a state of equanimity, and that's a state of the divine, because in the infinite, the divine does not feel one way or the other. It is perfectly balanced, and so when we quiet our minds, we go into the equanimous state, we become one with the divine. That's why meditation is that. We must be fearless and never let anything distract us. This is critical, because I guarantee you that when you become centered on what you want, there are going to be people that are currently in your life that you're labeling as your best friends in the world, family members in the world, and they're going to try to put you back in your box. We had a big S over here. I bet she's got some mama issues. Because we all have mama issues, and we all have daddy issues, we all have teacher issues, because they formulated the basis of our beliefs. The question is, have we resolved whether or not we want those beliefs anymore? We must stay the course. This is the single one thing that really must come in. When I was going through my idea of healing the brain tumor, and I became a vegan, I want you to know that was a very difficult thing. Because I loved meat. I ate meat 6 meals a day because I was eating a bodybuilder program. And I would give me some prime rib bones with meat on it, put them on the grill, and then bring them in and just let the juice just run down your mouth. I loved it. I could eat meat like it's going out of style. But what happened for me was I said, I read this information, and my desire to heal was greater than the addiction that I had to eating meat the way I ate meat. And so I had to fight that all the time, because my wife didn't become a vegan. My children didn't become a vegan. My mother, the woman of my life, besides my wife, said, Lee, you come and I can't cook for you. My mother was this itty-bitty little Italian who was the greatest cook in the world. Let me cook some chicken cacciatore. I made some homemade Italian sausage. Lee, let me do all this, do all this, do all this. I can't, Mom. I can't, Mom. I can't, Mom. She's, Lee, you're breaking my heart. What do you do when your mother says, Lee, you're breaking my heart? Thank you, Mom, but no thank you, because I've got a purpose. You see, you've got to stay the course, because you have to have determined what it is you want in your life. And once you've determined that, don't let anyone enter your life and try to change you. Tell them very kindly, I have a purpose. This is why I'm doing this. I ask you to honor it. In honoring it, you're supporting me. And in your mind you say, if they don't honor it, they're no longer supporting me, then there's no reason to have them in your life. Because what I've really come to understand is that the only reason we're in any relationship whatsoever is to support and grow ourselves, and to support and grow others. And if that is not the primary reason for the relationship, there is no purpose to having it. It's emptiness. It's wasted. Well, I'm going to lose my great drinking buddy if I stop drinking. I hear that one a lot. Guess what? Lose them. Because what is drinking? Drinking is a form that numbs the brain, that takes the brain out of the ability to be where you are. It's a form of sedative. So's food, so's alcohol, so's sugar. That's a bigger addiction than any other that we've got. We don't realize that everything out there has got sugar implanted in it, and we're not consciously choosing. And when we put sugar in our bodies, not only do we gain excess weight, but we also make our body, our immune system goes down, and our immune system becomes more susceptible to receiving whatever might be floating around in the air. With a strong immune system, we have everything in us that doesn't matter who's got the plague. You won't get it if you've got a strong immune system. When your body is in pH balance, science has told us that bodies in pH balance cannot get cancer. If you have cancer and your body goes into pH balance, cancer automatically dies because it cannot live in a pH balanced body. It's that simple. You see, there are laws out there that work. We've just got to be aware of what those laws are, and we've got to consciously use the power to create our lives. Otherwise, we're going to have the creation of everyone else around us. Wow, I gave you a lot today, didn't I? But you deserve a lot. You deserve to have more than I've ever given you, and I promise over the next 10 weeks, because we've got 10 more of these on karma, that I'm going to give you everything that you can possibly imagine on this idea of your creative power from every different angle I can give it to you, because I want you to succeed. I want you to become a living example of the greatest you, because when we do that, we change the world. I posted an article this morning about one of my favorite people in the whole world that's no longer with us, and that's Harry Chapin. Anyone here remember who Harry Chapin was? He wrote the song Taxi, Cats in the Cradle, and that. He wrote stories, he wrote novels that he put to stories. And these stories, if you've not listened to Harry Chapin, go pull out his Greatest Stories Ever Told album, go on YouTube or whatever, and listen to the stories he tells. And Harry, they said, you've got to give up the way you do things, because they never played his songs on the radio because his songs were 7, 8, 9 minutes long because it was a story. They said, you got to cut down to 3.5. He says, no. This is my life. This is what I want to share with you. And he said, and he did all these free concerts. And people say, why are you doing these free concerts? He says, because I believe that we can change the world by providing people in the world food. He said, I remember so clearly, he said, in the world today, we are making 4 times as much food that's necessary to feed everyone on the planet. What we have is we have a distribution problem, and my goal in life is that I want to change that, and I want to find a way to feed people. So he took a majority of all the proceeds that he made, and he gave it to world hunger. That is someone with a life purpose, Anna, and it's beyond anything that you can imagine. I asked the question, do you have a purpose that great? You could. You've just got to decide. You've got to decide what it is that's within you that's desiring to be birthed. He died tragically at a young age in a car accident. But his time was done. His legacy was created. What I ask you is, do you know what your legacy is? So that when you die, people will remember you for the uniqueness and the perfection of how you showed up and you brought life. You brought life into this world. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.